man. So how was your
Morning, Neil.
vacation?
It was actually really awesome. We just went nowhere far, but someplace really cool. So just went over to actually Margaritaville, rented a badass house, pool, hot tub, went into SeaWorld the first time with my kids and did the cabana life around the pool and hung out and tried to relax and had a million different ideas pop into my head. And we got some new community ideas and places to go do them and thoughts, and snuck away and made some phone calls and got some investment dollars lined up to do some cool things and rock out of Q4. So it's kind of how it works.
See, and I told you to not work at all while you were there. And I knew this was going to happen. Now we're all going to pay the price.
Yeah, everyone is. So no, but it was one of my big missions was to take some time to figure out Q4. And exactly what I'm having, what everybody that we're working with is doing the same thing. What do you want Q4 to look like, right? So that's a hard question, right? It's a really tough question to figure out what do you really want it to look like when you really have to commit to something. And then it's really hard because you try to sandbag. You're like, well, I know this is coming. I know this is coming. So this will be a good one. And you have to stop yourself and say, no, that's not the game. The game is what else do you want that you don't know that's coming? That's a stretch. And it's just the old fuck how concept, right? What do you want, right? And so I set some really lofty goals, biggest quarter goals I've ever set for myself, and said, you know what? I don't know how in the world I'm going to get this to happen yet, but I'm going to figure it out because here's what I want to do with this cash. And so it's set in motion. So we shall see what happens. And then as I'm sitting there after I wrote these goals, this was like the first day or two, I came up with the goals for what I want to do this quarter. And then some ideas started popping into my head. Started meeting a couple people randomly. It just happened to be walking by or swimming by in the pool, and started having some different conversations that lead to different ideas. And there you go, right? And did I put that in motion? 100% I did, right? We'll see. So anyway, that's kind of the point. And most of it comes from creating inventory because guys, we have to build it and they will come, right? You have a house, you put it on the market, somebody comes and buys it, right? It's an attraction strategy. So my personal attraction strategy is to get as much cool inventory as we can, highlighting the word cool. Now, then to make our towns like legendary, iconic, and badass, right? So that's kind of what I'm been working on over there while relaxing. So I put the 4 questions out to all of the agents too. And I think you saw those. And it's basically what kind of Q4 do you want? How much money is that going to take? How many transactions is that going to equal? And what's the path of least resistance to get those transactions to happen? So that's kind of an overarching theme of what's going on this quarter, but it really comes down to inventory, or it doesn't, right? If you're not a listing minded person, that's cool, fine, we still love you. Somebody's got to work with the buyers too. And we're about 50-50 buyers to sellers in the company. So it's not like it's only listings or nothing, but if you have a choice and you're trying to figure out which one you want to do, in this marketplace right now, we have to get inventory. So when Mike and I were deciding the topics for today, it's about how do you get a listing. And I don't want the sandbags about, oh, I know that I've got a presentation on Thursday with my cousin Eddie and he's going to list his house with me. That's not a listing this week. That's just a reward for being you. I'm talking about how do you hunt and go find something that you don't even know about yet. That's what feels good. Right? That's the fun part about this business. When this becomes a sport and it's a hunting sport, it's a takedown sport. So what can I find that I don't have yet that'll turn into income to generate cool things to do for myself and my lifestyle and my family? So that's kind of what I wanted to chat back and forth with you about is what do we need to do to get a listing by Friday, right? Cold stretch. You don't even have anything yet. So where do you think it starts, Puma?
Well, it starts by having conversations, right? But those conversations are going to be different for every single person watching, depending on the type of business that you're going to create and your approach to the business, right? And so we talk about this a lot. Everything works, and it does, but it just won't all work for you. So we're going to go through a variety of strategies in the next 45 minutes to an hour. And what I'm going to implore all of you to do, though, is really have some self-awareness to figure out what you're actually going to go do of the things we're going to talk about and the things you're not going to go do. And that's okay, right? If Jeff says, listen, if you go knock on 400 doors, right, this week, you're going to get a listing, right? And we all know that's true, and it probably won't take 400. But if you go knock on a bunch of doors, you're gonna get a listing. But there's a 95% of you watching that go, "Oh, I'm not gonna knock on any doors," right? And that's okay. But you need to know that, so that you need to find something that we're going to talk about today that you will actually go do. And
Yep.
that's the biggest thing. I think the self-awareness part of this business is so crucial, yet we lose sight of it, right? We really do, because there's so many different ways to make money in this business, and we lie to ourselves and say we're going to do something we're not going to go do. And that just does zero good.
Right.
So we need
We
to
got
be
to
really
find,
honest with ourselves about what we're actually comfortable doing. And even if you're not comfortable with it, are you willing to be uncomfortable so that you can get to a new level? And if the answer to that is no, then that's okay. But you need to know that, and don't lie to yourself.
before we even get into that, here's what I want to pose out to you guys watching right now. And this is the most important part of this story. You're going to make about $7,000 when you get a listing and it sells, right? So the first thing it starts with is, what are you going to do with $7,000, right? A new $7,000 flies in from nowhere, and you have it in your hands, right? Feel it, look at it, smell it, right? You got $7,000 sitting in your hand right now. What are you going to do with it?
Put it all on red.
There you go. It's the fastest way to make it worth $14,000, right? Or zero.
It's the only way to do it.
But that could be your thing, right? If that's your thing, go get it and then run to Hard Rock. Okay. But you have to have the answer. I'm glad that was top of mind. We need to check on your gambling addiction later. But what are you going to do with that cash, right? So if it's paid on Visa, it's put it a down payment on a chalet to go skiing in wherever this spring, right? I don't care what it is, but if you don't have the answer for what I'm going to do with $7,000, do it. Now here's the problem. Most of you have more than $7,000 sitting in your bank account right now, and you don't need the $7,000. Okay. But what else are you going to do with the $7,000? Are you going to go put it on, buy a Bitcoin for your grandkid, right? I don't care what it is, but know where it's earmarked for. Okay. Because if you don't have that answer done, then there's nothing we can say that's going to actually help you.
No,
Okay. So that's the biggest issue we have to. So
it's
what are you going to do
100
with that extra $7,000?
It's 100% true, because I just look at it, just even small examples, right? I've been talking to you for probably a month and a half, 2 months about, hey, I'm probably going to sell my car and get something else, right? And I've been dragging my feet, haven't done it. And even on Thursday, my wife was like, hey, I thought you were going to sell your car. I'm like, yeah, no, I am, but there was, for some reason, I hadn't done it. All of a sudden,
well, the universe actually stepped in a week or so ago and give you 2 blowouts in your car. Correct. On the way you were driving. Yeah, say, hey, buddy, get a better car.
They shifted it top of mind again, right? And then of course I didn't do it, and I don't know why, until over the weekend I found the car that I wanted, and next thing I know, boom, Sunday night I have an offer on my car, check coming today, and I'm gonna go get the other car probably tomorrow. So all of a sudden, though, that didn't happen until in my head, I found what I wanted, right? And that was really the piece that was missing, that I didn't realize, because I knew I could sell my car if I really wanted to, right? But I was lying to myself, like, oh, it's probably not worth what I want. And I kept telling myself all these excuses. The reality was I just didn't find what I wanted. The second that I found what I wanted, then it was, okay, yep, now I got to do this to get that. Boom, done.
Yep.
Right. And it happened very quickly. So once you get committed to something, right, you will take the steps and actions necessary to go get it. But if you're not committed to it, and Thomas talks about this a lot, we talk about it a lot, there's a huge, huge difference between you guys being interested in going and making $7,000 and you guys being committed to going and making $7,000. And it's not about the $7,000 or the $15,000 or the $20,000 that you're going to make on that one transaction. It's not about that money. It's about whatever that money is going to enable you to do, whether it's put it in a retirement account, whether it's to buy a new car, whether it's to go on a trip, whether it's to put towards an investment. It doesn't matter. But whatever that is, you need to be 100% committed to that. And if you're not, this is not going to work. Everything we talk about right now is a mute point because it will not work unless you get committed to something.
That's right. So let's assume if you're having problems, guys, getting to that commitment excitement level, please let us know and reach out to Thomas, reach out to Chris, reach out to Craig, reach out to Deb, reach out to Joe, reach out to Otis, reach out to me, reach out to Puma, reach out to Julie, reach out to Kathy, right? Thomas, you've got everything in the world. All of us are sitting here to help you push it. Because guys, we make money when you make money, and we like to make money. So let's help you make a bunch of stuff. So to get to your goals, that's how we get to our goals. So you get to your goals, same thing. All right, so let's get into some tactics here. So let's assume you have some motivation, excitement to do something more than you have right now. And if you don't, figure it out, right? Upgrade something in your life and make it cooler. All right, so I wrote down a few notes to lead off with this one. In order to get something to happen, you have to influence another. Would you agree with that?
Yep.
Okay, so you have to influence somebody in order to get somebody to do something. How the hell do you influence somebody? Right, it's really simple. We go over these 3 questions all the time. Every time you're talking to somebody is, do I like you? Right? Or can I trust you? Are you good at what you do and do you care about me? Can I trust you? Are you good at what you do and do you care about me? Those are the 3 subconscious issues that it's going on inside their brains right now. So that's what you really need to start thinking about is that. So you have to influence those answers to be yes, or nobody's ever going to sign a contract to commit themselves to you to handle the buy or sell side of the largest financial transaction in their life. Okay, you guys got that? Let's just get that foundation out of the way there. You have to get those 3 things. You have to influence them. They have to have trust. They have to feel that you are the person that they should put in charge of this whole thing. How in the world do you tell them that? If you're brand new, you might be thinking, I'm screwed, right? Because you're not good yet. If you are good and you just haven't done the multi-million-dollar market yet, you're just saying, oh shit, I'm screwed, right? Because you don't have the experience and the track record there too. You're in the exact same spot. Everybody's on the level playing field to their next level, right? That's why we focus on next level so much. So what is the actual next level? So there's two ways to get there. Path 1, talk to people that you know. Path 2, talk to people that you don't know. Simple. So let's delve into that one for a quick second, because here's what you have to do. Everybody's got their own life going on right now. And if they're not having life happen to them, real estate is not even top of mind at all right now. It just is irrelevant. Their house is fine. Their kids are fine. They're not getting divorced. They're not pregnant. They're not having a kid. They didn't lose their job. Money is stable. Life is fine. And guys, that's the way it is for 95% of the world, right? So let's just own up to that fact right now. All of your friends, most of your friends are good. There's a couple of them that are dumpster fires that have a lot of issues going on right now. And most of the people in your neighborhood are good. And there's a few of them that have some stuff going on in their life. All we have to do is figure out how we declutter either of those groups to find the people that are actually doing something in real estate right now. And then when we find that group, we have to make sure that they can trust us and give us the business. Allow us the opportunity to represent them, to give them the best transaction they've ever had, and to either put more money in their pocket or to save them more money on the purchase, or to give them the best representation. That's really where we're going here, okay? So we have to declutter, because guys, if you haven't noticed, newsflash, there's 12 gazillion real estate people out there with a license. We talked about this a lot last week. There's really not a whole lot of them that are awesome, but there's a whole lot of them that have their license, which clutters up the industry and clutters up the space. So now you've got a few people doing something, and now the world's cluttered with people. So how in the world are you going to condition your tribe, or worse, the general public, to think about you when real estate is happening in their life, because they've got 6 or 7 other people in their world that's doing real estate? How do you do it? Look how it's a problem. What do you think?
Consistency, right? That's really all it takes. If you're consistently communicating to them, and whatever that means for you, whether that's through social, whether that's constant text messages, whether that's messaging them on Facebook one-on-one, if you are constantly having conversations, I prefer to do it through content, because I think it's a subtle way. It's why I love social so much. It's why those taking advantage of the daily content that we're pushing out, I think, are going to have an advantage to some degree, because they're communicating to their sphere in a really subtle way, but it's consistent, and it's going to constantly build trust and brand awareness within their sphere, right? And it's the same thing for me. I mean, I got a message this weekend a buddy of mine named Andrew, who's an agent in West Virginia, who follows our content. Because I post so much, he engages in it. He referred me a friend of his who just got his license in Tampa, who I'm talking with later today, that may come to work for us. Now, he may not end up choosing us. That's irrelevant. But the fact that Andrew took the time to message me when he found out his buddy in Tampa was becoming an agent, and I was the first person to pop in Andrew's head, speaks volumes to how, if you are consistent with your content, other people will think of you, because it's not about necessarily today. Yes, this class is how can we go get a listing by Friday? But understand something, your sphere, right? The people that are already in your circle, for the most part, already know you and already probably trust you to some degree. Now, when we're constantly reminding them, oh, yeah, he's in real estate. Oh, yeah, she's in real estate. Oh, yeah. Oh, look at that. They've done 60,000 transactions. That's cool. That's what's going on subtly in their brain, right? When you posted, if you take the daily post that I made today that speaks to that with the fact that you're on part of an organization that's done 60,000 transactions, they're going to scroll past that. You're not going to get as many comments as you did on the food post that I did on Friday, which I saw some of you had 60, 70, 80 comments, which is ridiculous.
That was awesome. Right? Yeah.
And it's a ridiculous post. It has nothing to do with real estate. But you know what happened? Those 60 to 80 comments means that that's 60 to 80 people that are going to see today's 60,000 posts that wouldn't have otherwise. Okay, that's the game we're playing. And when you play that game consistently, you are now getting in front of and telling people, hey, this person actually knows what they're doing in real estate. And so the second that their buddy, that their family member, their mom, it doesn't matter, that pops in their head of, oh yeah, I'm thinking about moving. Oh, you've got to call Jeff. You got to call Mike. You got to call Susie. That's what's going to happen, right? That's the game we're playing. But that game does not play out for you very well unless you are doing it consistently. So to me, being able to consistently communicate and demonstrate your expertise, or if you're brand new, our expertise, right? Our expertise as a whole organization, then you will win. If you don't do that, you're going to struggle. Oh, you froze on us.
That post, right? I was laughing last night, scrolling through. I froze.
Yeah, boom. You're back. You're back.
Okay. The donut post, right? The engagement was amazing. I was scrolling through and seeing that thing from Friday was awesome. But you're right on. It's about the game. So it takes 27 impressions, guys, to be top of mind, right? To even be thought of in that top tier. And that's just the game that we're playing. That's it. So remember Pavlov? We talk about this sometimes in Next Level. The Pavlov dog experiment, where every time food was placed down, a bell was rang, and the dog associated a bell ringing with food. And soon enough, before all the scientists had to do was ring the bell, and the dog associated the bell with the food, and he'd start to salivate when he just heard a bell, right? All we're doing, guys, there's nothing different than we're doing. We're thinking real estate, your face. Real estate, your face. Real estate, your face. Even the donut post about the food and the snacks has a Century 21 logo on it, right? It's your face, real estate, your face, real estate, your face, real estate, real estate, your face, real estate, your face. Because this is the long game. This is not for the topic for this week, but it's important. The long game is at the baseball game this weekend, the real estate conversation pops up, your face pops up, and that's how you win that game. So, but what you were just talking about is people communicate. You have to communicate in order to influence people, but people like people who are like themselves. So to your point, callers like to call and talk on the phone, okay? Texters like to text, right? Emailers like to email, Facebookers like to Facebook, Instagram people love to be on Instagram, TikTok people want to be on TikTok, LinkedIn people want to be on LinkedIn, right? What do you want to do? If you don't like LinkedIn, screw LinkedIn, unless you're playing a longer game, because there's a segment of your that are LinkedIners, and they only really would prefer to hear about your content on LinkedIn, right? And some of them like Instagram. Some of them would prefer door-to-door, face-to-face, belly-to-belly, eye-to-eye conversations. Depends on your market. What do you want to do? So we first have to have that self-awareness that we opened up with today to talk about what do you want to actually do? Who are you going to actually talk to? How are you going to actually do this and play this game? Because here's what I wrote this down. Unless you pierce through, right, their world and talk with them face to face, it's not going to work. So here's the thing for this week, proximity is trust. Okay, sameness is trust. So if you want a listing, you should probably know where you want that listing. Let's start there, because people will trust you when you're a fixture in that neighborhood. True story. So if you've been posting consistently and you're targeting and you're mailing and you're doing that, you're a fixture in that community, you win already. Okay. But a lot of you haven't been doing that one. And the truth is, there's probably a handful of people only that are consistently niching down and targeting to a marketplace. Okay. And that's something we can all get better on. So how do you actually do this? So we've got, from a sameness perspective, tribal perspective, people on your neighborhood like you more than somebody from a different neighborhood. Why? Because your interests are aligned. If you're my next door neighbor, you're more likely to want my house to sell for more than somebody who doesn't live in my neighborhood. Does that make sense from a psychological, subconscious level? If you're my next door neighbor, you're part closer to my tribe because we live in proximity. If you live in Alabama and you try to list my house, you're an outsider, you're not part of my tribe, defenses are up. Okay, just the way it works. So that's why Nextdoor is such a huge tool to be leveraging in there. That's why social ad engine is such a tool to be leveraging from a localized niche down perspective. That's why door knocks are important, right? If all of this works, guys, to Mike's point, some of these you don't like, then don't do them. That's why I really work in the FSBOs and doing video texts and standing in front of their house works, because you're close by, you're there, you're in front of their house, you're not a stranger, you actually must be nearby because you're in their neighborhood. It's a psychological innuendos that make all the difference in this business, guys. Is who do I trust? Can I trust you? Are you good at what you do? Do you care about me? I'm not going to not trust you. You're standing in front of my house. You're clearly somebody around. You're not going to hurt me, right? This is the tribal monkey brain that we're dealing with, guys. It's really simple. So remind people, right? That's why we went through that script, which I did not send out. And I realized that while I was sitting in a pool, right? But I will send all those scripts out that I did with you last week on that one. The remind, forewarn. That's right. If you're talking about a remind person, you're like, hey, I live right around the corner. My office is right around the corner. I really love the Shady Oak subdivision. And how's your house? I know you live in White Plains, New York, blah, blah, blah. I'm naturally going to be liking you and you're going to like me and trust me more because we have that whole situation. Okay. So what is the easiest way for you to get a listing this weekend? Let's go in order of importance of simplicity and ease. What do you think, Puma? What's the first easiest, number one? You guys chime in. What is the simplest way if you need to get a listing by Friday? Where would you go first? Now you're the coach. Okay, type it in. What is the easiest way to get a listing by the end of this?
If it's me, I'm going to set a number of people that I want to make contact with each day. And I'm going to do that via my phone. So I'm going to start going through literally through my contacts on my phone.
Okay, Regina just is online. Sphere from Regina, Sphere from Lauren. Yep. So, okay, so right online. So why would you go with your Sphere first?
But to me, Sphere is a very broad term, right? Because to your point, we've got Sphere in our phone. We've got Sphere on Facebook. I've got Sphere on LinkedIn. I've got Sphere on Instagram. I've got Sphere in my neighborhood. I know all my neighbors. I don't have most of their phone numbers, but I just don't talk to them, right? I see them in the neighborhood. That's how we communicate. Yep. So I can't sit there and say, well, I'm going to work my Sphere. What does that mean? Mm-hmm. Right? And so for me, if I'm actually going to game plan here, when a pro team game plans, they don't say, well, we're going to go out and we're going to play football. Well, we know you're going to go play football. But what are you going to do in the first quarter on the first drive, on first down? If we're short yardage, long yardage, they're playing a different game, right? They game plan. We need a game plan. So if we're playing a different game than everybody else, which I think we're saying we want to play a different game than everybody else, then we actually have to create a strategy that's going to allow us to go play that game and win, right? And for me, that starts with saying, okay, let's break that Sphere down, because I'm in agreement with those, right? And Karma said call expireds. That works too. But let's stick with our Sphere for a second. I'm in agreement. I think Sphere is the lowest hanging fruit because you've already built trust and they already know who you are for the most part. And
let's niche that down.
Those are the two biggest things, but we got to niche it down. So for me, I'm going to look through my phone and say, okay, who in my phone do I know is a talker, right? Who am I going to call? Because they want to hear from me on the phone. I never really text with them. I don't do those things. And I'm going to literally write down, and maybe it's 50 people. So I'm going to do 5 today and 5 tomorrow, 10, whatever you're comfortable doing it. I'm going to call those people, and I'm going to make a note, call them. Then I'm going to have my group that I text with, that I know is more of my text. And I'm going to start texting, boom, 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 boom. And I'm going to start those conversations. Then I'm going to go through each of my socials. I'm going to go through my Facebook, and I'm going to start messaging, boom, 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 one-on-one, having conversations there. Again, being understanding of where is my sphere most effective. My mom is not on Instagram. So if I'm someone going after my mom, me trying to use Instagram because I like Instagram isn't going to work. This isn't about how you like to communicate. It's about how they like to communicate. So you've got to figure it out and be willing to go there. So I'm literally going to then go by platform, and I'm going to message my sphere. Then I'm going to push out content on each platform to get all of those that maybe I'm not ready to have one-on-one conversations, but I still want to stay top of mind. So I'm going to make a post on every single one. Basically, I'm going to follow the daily marketing guide that we put out, but I'm going to do it to the level that I need to until I have the number of conversations that I'm set in my head that I'm going to have by Friday, right? So if that's 50, then I'm going to break it out to do 50. If that's 100, I'm going to do 100. If that's 500, I'm going to break it out to do 500. And you have to decide that, right? But I'm literally going to take my sphere and I'm going to segment it. And then to take Jeff's teachings into it, I'm also then going to make sure I'm connecting when I communicate, because me sending a message isn't good enough. If I know who I'm texting, if I know who I'm calling, if I know who I'm messaging, or even if I don't know them super well, I'm going to go onto their Facebook profile. I'm going to go on to LinkedIn real quick. I'm going to see what do they do for a living, right? What do their posts look like? What kind of words are they using? And now I'm going to use that same thing that we would use in a normal conversation to actually connect with them. So that's what I would do.
That's great. And all that works. Here's what I would do. Okay. And I'm going to simplify this. I'm going to go until I get one, because that's my mission for this week. Right. And that could be 12 contacts. That could be 1,200 contacts. I don't care, because I'm committed to making $7 grand this week that I don't know where it's coming from, in addition to the rest of my business funneling through the pipeline. Okay. So the first thing I would do is I would go through into the neighborhood that I'm in right now, right? Any neighborhood that you're in, or if you really don't like your neighborhood, or if you're in a complex and that's not relevant to you, you're going to go into a neighborhood that you want to have business in. Okay. Step one. So go find the neighborhood you want business in that you have somewhat credibility with, because you're close enough to be there, so you win. Okay. This brand, we win. They know we know real estate. They know we're good at what we do. That's the whole thing. I would go to that neighborhood and I would simply say, okay, put my mask on, because masked people like masked people, unmasked people I don't care. Okay. That's the whole point. But I would get my butt out there into the neighborhood, go hand to hand, face to face contact. And if those of you who walk the neighborhood, I would start talking to people when you're walking, rather than the courteous way of say, hey, quick question. You've lived here a long time, right? This is the key. This is the script right now, saying, hey, listen, I need your help. What some of the most powerful words in all of sales and all of the world is, hey, I need your help. Listen, there's not much for sale on the street right now. I've got people that really, really, really want to live here. Think of it for a second for me. Who do you think is most likely to move next on the street? Right? You know, a lot of people I don't know, you know their situations better than I do. If you were to bet, who would be the most likely next person, next family to actually move out of this neighborhood? I want to go talk to them. Their house is worth more than it's ever been worth in the history of the planet. There's pent up demand. I'm at a loss. I don't know who's next in this neighborhood. How can you help me? Okay. That's the script. And I will go do that hundreds of times this week, or 10 times this week, until somebody says, you know what? Myrtle is moving. Bob and Mary are getting divorced. Their kids are off to college, and one just got married. Their house is huge. I think they were talking about downsizing at a cocktail party last weekend, right? This is what I'm trying to solicit. Okay. Because now they know me, they trust me. I'm good at what I do, or it's a neighborhood which we service and they've seen our signs. They know our brand. We're not strangers. We're not danger. We don't have to explain which company we're with. Right. Right. That's one of the biggest powerful things about having this brand behind you, is you're pre-sold. Right. So you don't have to say, well, I'm not a painting company. I'm actually a real estate company. Right. Now, everybody knows what we're doing. So that's one of the huge benefits there. So just knock on any neighborhood, any door, any street, any town, anywhere in the country / world, everybody knows what we do. So we win. Now the conversation is build that trust. And that's where you start to pay attention to their hello. That's how you start to pay attention. This is where the money happens. This is where the business, the sport happens. This is the mirror matching, guys. This is the eye contact. This is the energy. This is the facial expressions. This is the hand movements and no hand movements. This is the high volume. This is the low volume. This is the fast talking. This is the slow talking. This is all of the communication that we can connect with them while we're having a conversation with them in whatever manner they're having that conversation. Got it? Because script's important to let you pay attention to the rest of the world. And if you know, hey, listen, the script is simple. I need your help. You know people I don't know. Who's most likely to move next? And then I trigger their brains a little bit. Who's getting married? Who's getting divorced? Who's anybody getting divorced? Like, what's going on? Right? Who do you know? What's scoop? Give me the scoop. I need some help. Right? That's what I would do. And I would do that nonstop. I would go drive by every FSBO I can in my town, in my neighborhood, or within a 15-minute drive of me. And I would stop and knock on their door. And I would say, guys, what's going on? How can I help you? Right? Here's the situation. Market's hotter than it's ever been. If you're not sold, there's an issue. Let me help you. Where are you moving? What's going on? At least let me help you move there. Right? And there's no excuse, guys. There's no excuse to not have business this week. There's too much of it. Now, if I wanted to be smart, I don't mind going shotgunning up and down the street. Okay, I really don't. If I wanted to be a little more strategic on it, I would go into Remind and find the medium to high sell scores in the neighborhood. And I would go door knock those first. Okay. Once I finish those, I still would do the rest of the neighborhood because Remind doesn't know who had a fight last night. Right. Remind doesn't know who got fired on Thursday. Okay. So there's still life that happens around the world. But I wouldn't try to say this is not the way to shotgun and build my brand for 7 months from now. I'm not talking about that right now. Okay? Everything else we talk about is about making sure you get business 7 months from now. I'm talking about if you don't have an extra $7,000 booked because there's a sign up by Friday, then it's a failure week, right? If it's a failure week, if I don't get a sign up, I'm going to start as close to home as I can, close to the office as I can, in a neighborhood in which I want some business in, and I'm going to go knock on those doors. I'm going to find these people and I'm going to say, hi, I need your help. Okay. It's pretty important. If I come to your door and ask you for something, it's pretty important. Okay. That's just the way that it is. Now that's that for the people I don't know. Now to that same point, I'm going to go into my sphere. And my sphere would be the people I would invite over to a barbecue. Okay. I'm going to start there because I like them. There's a lot of people in my sphere that I really don't want to have over at a barbecue. Okay, but there's a good group of people that I really do want to have over for a barbecue because I like them more. Why do I like them more? Because we're more like each other. We have more commonalities and the conversation's a little more interesting. Got it? So I would start there and I would say, hey, Mitch, I need your help, dude. What's going on in your neighborhood? We are having a huge problem in this business right now, and I really need your help. You know people I don't know. Think about your neighborhood for a second. Who's most likely to sell next? Who's getting older? Who's moving? Who's getting kids? What's going on? Think for a second. Think for me. Think. And I'm going to call my buddy Scott. Scott, what's going on, man? I need you to think for a second. Pause. Take a deep breath. Focus for me for a second. I really need your help. What is it, Jeff? Listen, we are having a huge problem. Okay. We really need inventory. And I know you know people I don't know. Think for a second. Who's getting married? Who's having kids? Who's getting transferred? Who's just won the lottery? What's going on? Who's got what? Whose rich uncle's coming to town? Whose kid's buying a first-time house? What's going on? Think for a second. Hey, Barbara, what's going on? It's Jeff. Hey, listen, I need your help. Listen, you know people I don't know. We're having a major issue right now. We've got way too many people. Homes are worth more than they've ever been before. Rates are stupid low. You know people I don't know, man. Listen, think who's getting married? Who's getting divorced? You guys get the point? And that's what I would do first. Go through your cocktail party barbecue list and call them, ask them, text them, call if they're callers, text if they're texters, Facebook message if they're Facebookers, DM them if they're Instagrammers, send them a little message through LinkedIn if they're LinkedIn. However you want to communicate, however they like to communicate with them. That's it, right? And once you exhaust that list, you're gonna have business. It's impossible not to.
Do you think, going back to the people that you don't know in your neighborhood though, do you think it'd be worthwhile to create a template for yourself? So for me, I would probably do it in Canva. You'd probably do it in Business Builder or whatever platform you want. But would it make sense to make a template of a CMA to bring with you and say, hey, by the way, 123 Street just sold, and it kind of changed all the values in our neighborhood. I just wanted to give you a high level of what your home looks like right now too, as a thank you after you're leaving them, saying, hey, can you help me? Who's getting married? Who's getting divorced? Blah, 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 the whole script. By the way, I wanted to leave this with you. Boom. Right now, obviously ours is a spa, Deb. I realize that, but you're probably not going to do a full spa for every single person in your neighborhood. But to give them a quick hand takeaway, by the way, your house high level may be worth more than you ever even thought. Because again, we're trying to bring value, especially to people we don't know. We've got to build trust. We've got to bring value. So I think the script you use is perfect. But I also would say, especially with your high sell scores, giving them some idea of, wait a minute, they've actually done research on the property, right? It's that subtle nuance that you know what you're talking about and you're familiar with them, right? So if I hand them a piece of paper with their address, their info, and you can get all this at a Remine very quickly, right? I think that could be beneficial to leave it behind.
Well, you know what? Here's the answer to that one. You're 100% right? For some, and especially those who think that if you think the customers are going to feel more comfortable with that, then for all, just bring one, right? I don't think it matters personally. I think the connection is, hey, what's up? Need your help. Listen, I could shoot you what I'm going to do for you. Do you even have a clue what's going on? The last ones, you should know this at least. You should know the last one that sold in the neighborhood for $600 a foot, right? You should have a couple little bit of high level notes on your phone about what's going on in case they ask you, right? And say, guys, what are things selling for? The answer is it really doesn't matter because it's so subjective. Whatever the value of your home today changes tomorrow, depending on what the neighbors do, right? So don't even try to get pigeonholed into pricing. This is about, hey, I need your help. Who do you know? Now, I'm not even asking you to sell your house. I know that you're a high sales score guy, but I'm not even going to allude to the fact that I know you're a high sales score guy. I'm just want to say, hey, look, I'm an active, aggressive, passionate, ass-kicking, hardworking real estate professional, right? In your town, in your neighborhood, on your street with relevance and trust, right? This is what I'm saying without even having to say it. And I'm so dedicated to working with my clients, and I'm out here beating down doors, right? To find out who's remotely even considering hypothetically selling their house so I can see if I can put a deal together, right? Naturally, the conversation is if you're a high sales score, well, what do you think homes are selling for right now? Shit, if the price is right, I'd move. That conversation is going to flow and say, you know what? Great question. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. Do you like for me to call you, text you? Right? What do you want me to do? I'll send you a kind of a high level valuation later on this afternoon after I'm done. I got to find a house for one of my clients though, right? And that should be enough. And then you can do it. They might say, well, come on in once you see. Fine, go follow the leads, guys. I promise you, you're going to get business from doing this one. It's just connecting. Now, if your drunk monkey requires that you want to think that you need to hand them something, there's something called the law of reciprocity that backs that up, that it does help. I give you something, you give me something. That's why the wizards were so important. But I'm talking more of like an urgent plea, right? Hey, I need your help. This is what's going on. People I don't know. Who do you know that's doing this? Right? That doesn't require me to have a big presentation with me. This is hey, listen, I'm out here for a reason, guys. I really need your help. You know this neighborhood better than I do. I've lived here for a while, but not as long as you have. Who do you think's next, man? Talk to me. And they take some notes, write some paper, or type it in your phone, whatever you want to do. And then you're going to know so much about that neighborhood by the end of the day. And tomorrow it's going to be awesome. And now you have a huge database that you're building for your neighborhood, that now this is going to go on forever in your business. Now you're going to put them into Business Builder. You're going to put them into Zap. You're going to know that their dog's name is Fluffy and their kid goes to UNC Chapel Hill. You're going to have all this information just from a couple-minute conversation because you're asking them who you know, right? This is for me. If you are going to need a business by the end of this week, it requires hand-to-hand contact, face-to-face, belly-to-belly, eye-to-eye, you communicating, connecting with people, okay? The connecting, the building brand and all that stuff, 100% is important because you're planning on being a business next week too, right? But today is about where's the listing coming from by Friday? By Friday, okay? That's the point of this message. So there are people in your sphere, friends of your friends, that have decided they're putting their house on the market this week. I need to circumvent all that stuff and find out who those two people are, and I want to have a conversation with them. They will come to me as a referral, a trusted referral, so I'll have a better shot at closing them. Got it? Rather than if I met them cold. That's the whole point. That's what I want to make sure that we go through today is that. And that is your sphere, but not just your overarching sphere, your close spheres I don't care if there's 3 people in your neighborhood you're close with. Go talk to those 3. I don't care if there's 1 person in your neighborhood. Go talk to that 1. Okay, and start that conversation. I don't care if there's 2 people you're comfortable having at a barbecue. Call those 2 people. Text those 2 people. Right? Shoot them a message. Shoot them a DM. However you communicate with them, please communicate with those people because you never know where it's going to lead. Here's the funny part, guys. We started out by saying, what are you going to do with the $7,000 bucks? That's the most important part. And then the only thing you have to do next is get into action and start having a conversation. There's a funny little thing about that universe. The conversation that you have will take care of itself. As long as you have that need, you have that desire, you have that emotion, you have that passion, you have that commitment that this is what I'm going to go build. This is what I'm going to go get. This is what I'm going to go do for my family. This is what I'm going to do for myself. There's not even an option. There's no way I'm not going to get a listing by Friday. It's impossible. I will not go to sleep Friday night until I have a listing. I'm going to work my ass off on Monday and Tuesday if I have to, and Wednesday and Thursday and Friday, right? And I'm just going to keep going. And I'm going to talk to 400 people if I have to, because I want $7 grand. Because I want to do this for my kid or my mom or my sister or my church or whatever it may be as your driving force. But without the driving force, can you see why you're not going to do this? There's no reason. So that's the number one is the commitment that this week, 100% guaranteed, I'm going to get busy. What do you think? Deb, you're watching. I know Chris, you're watching. Anybody watching? How many new listings do you think will come on the market in all of our market in Central Florida in the next 5 days? How many new listings do you think will come on the market? Will hit the market? I want to see what you guys typing in. What's your idea? Deb says 15 new signs will go up in Sun City Center alone. Okay, that's just one market. And we've got Sarasota, you got Manatee, you got Hillsborough, you got Pinellas, you got Pasco, you got Polk, you got Volusia, you got Orange, you got all the counties that we're servicing now. It's amazing. 300 new ones will come in Central Florida today. Kim's saying 100 of them will do. There will be probably in our marketplace 1,500 new signs will come up in the next week. In the next week from Sarasota, Manatee. Yeah, we're down in Venice. We got agents down in Venice too, all the way through this whole marketplace. There's well over 1,000 new signs will come up. So there's no shortage of business.
If Craig's on, he's probably got a spreadsheet of this already done for him.
He does. But here's the point. It's plenty, right? There is no shortage of business that's out there right now. There's just a shortage of your commitment to go intercept it. Because every one of these signs is going up, whether or not you work, okay? It's either going to you or it's not. That's, you know, we're not going to influence other people's lives. Life is forcing them to call an agent, to sign a listing agreement, to put a sign up this week. There's over 1,000 people are going to have a listing presentation this week because life forces them to, right? And they would much rather work with somebody that they trust, that's good at what they do, that they think cares about them. And if it's one of your friends, they would much rather work with you. And if it's one of your friends' friends, they would much rather work with you. And if it's one of your neighbors, they'd much rather work with you, right? That's the whole point, guys. That's how many for sale by owners, Debs? Craig's he was just about to jump on the MLS and look at. Good, I'd love to see the answer. Last week, I bet you, my bet is between 1,000 and 1,500 in 7 days, the previous 7 days, from if you go through Stellar, all of the MLS, I think it's going to be at least that. And a ton of FSBOs, because FSBOs, Deb, I'm glad you brought that up. FSBOs to me are awesome, depending on whether you're on the cocky curve. The new FSBOs that come on today, right, because they gave up this weekend, because this was the last weekend, they're tired of lookers. They're still cocky. They're probably not ready to, some are ready to list and some are not. So you just have to work through that process. There's very few expireds out there right now. Very few. If they're expired, then the house is really, really terrible or is really, really overpriced. There's just a handful of them. Or they were really.
If you leveraged RealSure with even those new for sale by owners that just came on the market, yes, they're going to be cockier. But if you can approach them and say, hey, I've got someone interested in making an offer, can I come see the house? Right. And you go on back end, right? Make sure that RealSure is buying in that area, make sure that the home's not, going to be worth more than 450 grand. But as long as it meets those requirements, you know that there are potential for RealSure.
And OfferPad.
Or OfferPad. Yeah, either one. I like RealSure just because it's ours and it's going to get you the listing. But either way, what do they want? They want an offer. That's what they want, right? Even the cocky ones, even the ones that just came on, what do they want? They want offers. So give them one. But this is a way to get your foot in the door. Realsure especially is going to get your foot in the door. Then, hey, by the way, let me go see what the offer is going to be. Let me tell you a little bit about my client. It's going to be a little lower than probably what we can get on the market, but you're going to have that guaranteed offer sitting there. And now let me help you go get more. And if we get more, great. If not, this offer's still good. How does that sound? Right. And there's going to be some that'll be like, no. And then there's going to be some that'll be like, yeah, that sounds good. And guess what? You just got a listing. So if you did that to 100 for sale by owners, 200 for sale by owners this week, which wouldn't be that hard if you really wanted to do it, do you think you'd get one?
Yep.
You know, so it's a matter of what game you want to play. There's so many strategies, and none of them are complex. They're simple, but they're not easy, right? So there's so many. Your mind is going to have a reason for you to not do it unless your commitment to why you want to do it is so much bigger than any excuse that your brain's going to try and come up with.
That's the exclamation. That's the exclamation point, right there. Is if your drive and passion is not stronger than your drunk monkey, you will not get a listing this week.
No,
sorry. Okay. So the number one mission right now is for you to reach out to your manager, right? Whoever you want to work with in the company, I don't care. Just say, I have a hard time making sure I get business this week. Then we will put some leverage on, guys. There's all kinds of ways that's either motivated towards something and motivated away from something, right? It doesn't matter what your motivation is. They're all great. You just have to tap into whatever it is for you and say, damn it, by the end of this week, I will have a listing. Mike just said, hey, get in your car, start on North County, whatever county you're in, and work your way left and right down to the south part of the county and go hit every Zillow, FSBO that you can find along that way. You could do that and go video text them. Their phone numbers in front of their door. It's their cell phone because they put it on the phone themselves, and call them, knock on the door. If they're not home, do a video text with them. And if you just did that all week this week, it's impossible not to have one, guys. It's 100%. It's impossible. You could just have no script and just fart on them, right? And you do that 300 times, somebody is going to say, well, I feel sorry for that guy, and they're going to give you the business, right? You just have to show up and just north to south county and hit every single one that's going across the board. You're going to get business. It's impossible not to get business. You go through your phone and text your friends. If you really did that, it's impossible not to get business. It's impossible. If everybody who liked your donut post on Friday, if you just actually sent them a private message through Messenger and said, look, you know, how the kids, blah, 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 listen, I need your help. This is what we're doing. You know, people in your neighborhood, what's going on. If you actually did that to the 60 people that commented and engaged with you, it's impossible not to get business, guys. It's physically impossible. Okay, physically impossible. All we have to do is figure out what is that why. What are you going to do with $7,000 to $10,000 this week? What are you going to do with it? That's the answer. And until that answer becomes clear, we're not going to do it. Because as soon as it becomes clear, you're like, all right, getting in my car, opening up my phone, going here, putting on my Google Maps, and taking my ass to houses. You don't need a spa. You don't need anything. You need yourself. I need a phone that dials out. That's all you. Your spouse, your buddy, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, your dog. Said, do not let me home today until I have business. Don't let me home until I have my business. Don't let me home. I'm going to commit to talking to 25 people today, and I'm going to get something. And don't let me in that door unless I did it. And I'll call you after everyone. I'll shoot you a text message. I'm going to do it. Watch this, right? Because I'm going to make $7,000 to $10,000. Here's what we're doing.
Your audio is going out, or you turn into a robot. One of the two. Yep, going with robot. You're still a robot right now.
And it's Monday, favorite day of the.
And he's back.
Okay, cool. Still robot, and I'm back.
No, you're still
So they moved
you
my
were a
power line.
robot. You turned into a robot for straight up 5 minutes there.
Is that right? Was I cool?
It sounded cool. It sounded really cool. But yeah.
That was the most important 5-minute rant I've ever done in the entire real estate career. So too bad it got messed up there. But here's what I said. Get your ass a reason to go to work and then just go talk to people. That's all we have to do, guys. The world could not be any easier than it is right now. The real estate market could not be any hotter. Your listing will never be able to sell any faster than it will this week. Okay, so that's what I just want to light that spark, guys. Find that why and get your ass to work. That's all we have to do right now is just talk to more people than you did last week and watch it happen, as long as you have that purpose and that reason.
Yep. I think that pretty much sums it up. I mean, I forget what the number was, but I know it took Walt Disney like 400 or 500 phone calls before he got someone to say yes, right? But his desire to build Disney World was so much bigger than that no. And so that's what you guys have got to come to terms with if you really want a listing this week is, are you willing to keep going? Are you willing to knock on that 300th door if the first 299 slammed it in your face? And if you are, you're going to get it. If you're not, then you're not, right? And then it's a matter of regrouping and coming back next week trying to overcome it again. And more than likely, if you're not, it's because whatever you're going after isn't big enough. So you need to revisit that and figure out what's going to be a driver for you. And I would start there. Once you have that, then everything we talked about today will work, but do not try it all. Please do not go and spend today going after all the for sale by owners, and then tomorrow trying to contact everyone in your sphere, and then the next day going, guys, pick something, right? Pick one of the things that we've talked about today. If you need help, call us, call your manager, figure out with them what that path for you of least resistance is going to be, and then go commit to that until Friday, right? Just until Friday. Just do that every day this week until Friday. That would be my piece of advice.
Love it. Love it. Enough said about this, guys. Get the why, keep it in front of you. Make sure the hair's standing up on your arms and you're excited about it. If not, keep digging until somebody says, that's what I'm going to do with my 7-10 grand. And then go share it with somebody that's going to hold you accountable and then make it happen. That's it. That's all we need to do. Let us know what else we can do to help you. Tune back in tomorrow morning and watch Craig's and everything else that we're doing, guys. Everything we do is to help you. So have a wonderful, wonderful week and get a listing and reach out if you need some help, guys.
Have a fantastic week, guys.
See you.
See ya.
Bye.